Welcome into NHL Tonight, first shift for Wednesday, May the 28th, 2025. EJ Hradek alongside my buddy Mike Kelly. And Kells, we're getting down into the nitty-gritty here. Almost ready for the Stanley Cup final. I think we're getting that rematch between the Panthers and the Oilers. Both those teams need to win one more game. But we're getting there, my friend.
I'm not betting against it at this point, Each.
No.
Look, 3-1 in both series, but it's not just the 3-1. It's how it's looked through 4 games for each of them. You know, I think the Cup final is going to probably be a little better than these conference finals. And if it does end up being Edmonton, Florida, sign me up for 7, because last year it was unreal. And these teams are probably even better this year.
Yeah, and the Oilers would have home ice advantage this year if it goes 7. So we'll see how things play out. We've got a little business to do before that. Let's get to first things first, though, and some tough news for the Edmonton Oilers. Zach Hyman, he got banged around last night in the game against Dallas, collided with Mason Marchment. Didn't look like much, but he went right to the bench, did not return to the game. And you can see here, tweet from Elliot Friedman, and it was Chris Knobloch speaking to the media today. He said, hey, Zach Hyman is getting surgery today, likely out for the season. He wouldn't commit to whether it was the wrist or the shoulder. He said we'll leave it at upper body. I think it's probably something to do with the wrist. But you can see right away he drops the stick, and just doesn't seem like a lot happened there. But yet, Zach Hyman goes right to the bench, and he is having surgery and done for the season, Mike. I mean, this is a guy that's been an impactful player for the Edmonton Oilers in his entire time with the team. But certainly in this postseason, he was on pace to set a record for hits. He was hitting everything in sight. And then a play like that, which was kind of incidental contact, he ends up getting hurt. There you can see leaders in hits there, a wide margin over Sam Bennett. 111 hits for Zach Hyman, but that's where it ends. How do the Oilers deal with this moving forward? I don't think it hurts them necessarily in this series because they're in a commanding position. But I think moving forward, it's going to be tough to be without Zach Hyman.
Yeah, 100%. And nice to get it narrowed down to upper body injury. So that's good. You know, the only thing I think about here, upper body injury, not just saying what it is, given that he's having surgery, is maybe there's a chance he could come back late. I don't know. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just say, hey, it's his wrist, whatever.
Yeah.
The hits, the physical part, he brings out. We know what. I don't think we need to do like a deep dive on who Zach Hyman is at this point. He has a lot more skill than he probably used to get credit for, and he's shown that, scoring 50-plus goals and fitting seamlessly with real high-end players like Connor McDavid. You don't replace him, but what I think Edmonton, where they're in a good spot this year compared to others, is we've talked about it all playoffs. Their depth has been really good in these playoffs. So Connor Brown should be kind of close to coming back, you hope, and that's great. Victor Arvidsson came in last game and was good. You can go 11-7 when Ekholm comes back. Yeah. So they do have options. I don't think this, as good as Zach Hyman is, and this has nothing to do with him as a player, this injury, I don't think buries the Oilers, certainly in this series or even in a cup final against Florida.
And you can see looking at Victor Arvidsson get into the mix here in the game last night. He's a veteran player that can get into things. I thought Kapanen, he's been a helpful player for them as well. You can see here from Knobloch adding that Connor Brown won't play in Game 5, but he's doing well, and they hope to have him come in shortly after that. So, and there's going to be some time here, right? If they can wrap things up in Dallas in Game 5, I think the earliest we can start the Stanley Cup final is maybe next Wednesday. It might be further back than that, so that'll be some time for these guys to heal and to rest and to get ready, with the exception of someone like Hyman having surgery. To your point, you never know. I mean, if we get into late June, that's several weeks from now. There's a Game 7. I don't know. I've seen stranger things happen. I remember Eric Cole came back after missing a long stretch of the season with a significant neck injury, came back and I think played Game 6 and Game 7 in the Cup final in 2006 for Carolina. So you never really know for sure. But, to your point, the depth has been really helpful for the Oilers, and depth also in goal because, Skinner was terrible. They went to Pickard. He rolled off 6 straight wins. He gets hurt. Yeah. Skinner goes back in, a little bit shaky, but kind of finds his way, and now he's Mr. Swagger. Everybody's like, oh, I love the swagger. He's coming into the building, walking down he has been really good, and he was good again in the game last night. He stopped 28 of 29 shots. gave up the power play goal to Jason Robertson. That was it. And he held the Stars off in the first period. I think that's been the key for Skinner is the Stars kind of play in, like I said it a lot, they play in kind of spurts. And they played well in the first period last night, and Skinner held them off the board, and it was a period where maybe they could have had the lead after one, and instead they went to the room down a goal. So Stuart Skinner done a nice job since he came back, finding his game again. So that depth again was an important factor for this team.
Yeah, no question. It's a great point you bring up about Dallas and these spurts that they can have, right?
Yeah.
Because the first period of that game was a heck of a lot better than their third period when they needed a goal and couldn't get any shots. I want to throw that graphic back up for a second, JD, if we can, just because it's something that I've kind of looked at with Skinner, and his numbers against Dallas are so much better in his playoff career than every other team, like night and day, right? So this is looking at this year's playoffs, the first two rounds on the left and then Dallas on the right. Seam passes. So when a goalie has to go east-west or west-east and cross, right, that slot line. In the first two rounds, he faced 17 of those shots, so a little more than 3 a game, and he gave up 5 goals. Not great, right? He's only had to face 5 of those against Dallas, and he's given up 1 goal. So, like, basically 1 a game. And as good as Stuart Skinner has been, and he's been excellent, and I don't mean to take anything away from how he's played in this round because he really has been terrific. Edmonton defensively has done a great job of limiting those kind of plays, but also Dallas hasn't done a great job of creating them. And so goals saved above expected, what you're seeing now in his playoff career. Relative to average, he's been 10 better. He's saved Edmonton 10 goals. With everyone else in his playoff career, he's minus 18 almost. Way below average, right? So there's 2 ways to be average, and that is to always be average or be unbelievable at times and terrible at times. Yeah. And we've seen more of that from Skinner in these playoffs, but he's been lights out against the Dallas Stars. And so, like I said, it's 2-pronged. A, I give him a lot of credit for how well he's played, but B, Edmonton has not made him face a lot of those really difficult east-west. That's one of the hardest saves for goalies to make. Yeah. But Dallas is a little bit more of a work the puck low to high type of offense than they are a work it east-west type of offense. And that is not exploiting Stuart Skinner and where he has struggled, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing they said about Skinner, right? Because he's a big man, but like, you know, like for all goalies, getting side to side, getting set, being, as the goalies like to say, available to make that save or to get over, you know, that's an area of weakness. The Dallas Stars have these. You have them, Mike. They have them, right? I mean, it's not a guessing game for them. They haven't been able to execute, so I think it's a little of poor execution maybe by them, but also give credit again to the Oilers for just defending the middle of the ice really well.
You're totally right. That's exactly it. And because Edmonton is so good offensively, it kind of reminds me like Colorado in 2022 when they won the Cup. You always talk about the offense, McKinnon, and all these great things because it is great. Colorado never got enough credit for how good they were defensively. Their transition defense, everything was unbelievable. And they won with Darcy Kemper, who was, you know, pretty good, but didn't have to be great. Yeah. And that's what Edmonton can do with Stuart Skinner. And we don't talk enough about how good defensively Edmonton is. And they have been really good at limiting some of the more dangerous type of plays. And when they have occurred, Skinner's been there. So again, he's a big part of the credit. And it's not to take away from what he's done, but Edmonton does deserve credit for that. And the tricky thing for Dallas, again, because again, in the offensive zone, they are more of a low to high than an east-west type of offense and what they create. You can't just change everything you do or how you do it now and be totally different. Like that's going to disrupt you more than anything else probably. But odd man rushes can get you some of those looks, and Edmonton's been killing those. They've done a really good job of not allowing those to happen. So these are just the things the Dallas Stars are obviously looking at, thinking about as well. But Edmonton's credit, it's not just Skinner. It's not just the defense. Like there's a lot of areas where they get a lot of credit for what they are doing to the Dallas Stars. Yeah. They look to me like they have that growl of a team that was so close last year, and they seem like they just will not be denied this year. After that shaky start against LA, thanks to some help from the Kings, but they really found their way, and they've been just a beast since then. They've been really hard to deal with. One of the reasons is they're getting contributions, as we talked about, from a lot of different players on their team. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who I always feel is like such an important cog for their team because,
listen, McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to do their thing unless they're hurt. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he's been wheeling and dealing in this series, multiple points in every game, a couple of beautiful assists to set up those 2 power play goals that ended up being the difference in the game.
Yeah, no question. And to your point, when Connor and Leon are doing the thing, it's great. But when you get guys like Nuge or a Kane on top of it, or Hyman, what he's done, it just makes it so much harder to beat these guys, these Edmonton Oilers. And Nugent-Hopkins is one of the smartest hockey players on the planet. Like, he rarely ever makes a bad play. Some of the things we're seeing here, just his passing. The guy's got 7 primary assists in 4 games. Wow. I mean, that's outrageous. That's Wayne Gretzky numbers.
Yeah.
So, in terms of ozone pass completions, he's 8th of anyone in the conference finals, both sides. His completion percentage is almost 90%. It's way better than any other forward. So he's racking up these primary assists. He doesn't make a lot of bad reads, and he's a good enough playmaker and player to execute. And when I was down a year ago covering this conference final at Turner, and we did a segment on Nugent's hockey IQ, and got to ask Wayne Gretzky about Nugent's hockey IQ. What better guy to ask about a player's ability to think the game? He was so complimentary of him, and just all the different areas of the game that he touches positively for the Edmonton Oilers. So, I remember a time too, EJ, when, Nugent-Hopkins, this is going back a few years, but his offensive numbers kind of dipped. I think the Oilers, asked him to be more defensive minded, and he probably took that to a bit of an extreme, and he was good, but you're starting to see the offense this guy can create. Like, he's a really gifted player.
Yeah, he was a first overall pick in the draft, Nugent-Hopkins. I can remember, years ago at the World Cup in 2016, remember they had that Team North America, the under-23 kids, and John Cooper coached that team, and I asked him about some of those players, and he goes, who really stood out to you? Who surprised you? And he said, boy, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a really good player. It was the first name he came up with. And, another thing I'll add about him, too, on the power play for the Oilers, McDavid is all over the ice, right? Like, Draisaitl is usually in his spot. Hyman was usually at that post. They'll probably have to have Perry in that role now. Bouchard is up high. Like, where those guys are going to be, and they're so talented they can make it work almost no matter what you do to them. But I always feel like Nugent-Hopkins on the power play is so important because he has to read McDavid. Because McDavid is elusive. McDavid is moving all around the zone. And the other guys are in their spots. So it's up to Nugent-Hopkins to kind of read where McDavid is and not to overlap, right? Not to be in his way. And I think he does a terrific job of that. And I saw it last night, those couple of passes he made, just dynamite stuff. So he's having a great final, or a great conference final.
Yeah. That's an excellent point you bring up, right? And it's not always the flashiest stuff, because you'll see McDavid do the flashy thing, but it's like, well, why was McDavid allowed to do the flashy thing? And you're right. If you're watching on TV, you can do it. You can really do it if you're at a game, especially where we tend to sit up in the press box where the game's so easy. But just watch Nugent-Hopkins the whole time and just watch, oh, he's in the right place. He's in the right place. He's in the right place. Oh, there's the puck. Bam, that play happened because he was, you know what I mean? It's really good player.
Yeah. So the Edmonton Oilers with, as we say in these situations, a stranglehold on the series.
Indeed.
Up 3-1, and they will look to close it out in Dallas on Friday night. That one will be on ESPN at 8 p.m. Let's go back to the Eastern Conference, where we have Game 5 tonight. Here's a tweet from our friend, Dan Rosen. I miss Dan Rosen. I wonder who he's got in the Super 4, the last 4 teams.
You guys need to do that just to get the banter going again.
He's probably got Carolina #1. They won the other night. Who knows? Anyway, he tweets here, Sam Reinhart, Nico Mikkola, and A.J. Greer are all expected to play tonight, says their head coach Paul Maurice. They all missed Game 4. Reinhart missed Games 3 and 4. So that is good news for the Florida Panthers team that's looking to rebound from, I thought, a very vanilla effort in Game 4 on home ice against the Canes. Give the Canes a lot of credit. They played with desperation, with urgency. They were really good in that game, and they deserved that 3-0 victory. But Florida Panthers, they seem to love playing on the road. They're back in Carolina tonight, and they get these 3 guys back in the lineup. It's really, obviously, Greer's a 4th liner. Mikkola's an impactful player on defense, but Reinhart has been a star player for them, a key on the power play. Good to have all of them back.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think if you're looking at things from the Florida side, I'm I don't want to say this without knowing for sure, but if it was game 7 of the Cup final, how many of those guys do you think were playing last game?
Yeah,
right.
Good point.
Maybe all of them,
yeah.
a couple of them. I don't want to say Florida's, taking a game for granted here, but give them that day of rest, get them back in a little healthier, and know that, hey, we're still in a great spot here because we're that confident that we can win a game on the road and we can go into Carolina and wrap this up in 5. That's how they're probably thinking about this. And on the Carolina side, if I was in that room, I would be saying, beam down the analytics nerd to come and give a pep talk to the entire team. I'd be saying, look, game 1, we played pretty well and it didn't go our way, and that's fine. Games 2 and 3, we got beat, and we beat them in game 4. There's a scenario where this could be 2-2. So we're not getting smoked by this team that we got no chance against. Like, there's something in there to give yourself a little bit of belief. Obviously, if you can find a way to win this game, that belief really goes up. But they did. I know there were guys missing for Florida. They did straight up beat them. They played a better game. And the thing that they did, and we got a graphic for this, if we have it ready, we can kick it up. They didn't beat themselves. Like, that's the thing against the Florida Panthers, no matter who you are, that you cannot do, that Carolina has done for much of the series. Turnovers leading to scoring chances against. They gave up 7 in game 1, 10 in game 2, 14 in game 3. You see a trend here. They gave up 1 in game 4. 1. Don't give Florida extra looks because they will crush you. And they've been doing that all series. So, Ej, you watch the game. You have a great eye for it. I thought the puck management was a lot better for Carolina.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And I think, what was the number in that stat? They only allowed 1. I think Florida allowed like 10 or 11, right?
11. Yeah. That's a huge thing because both of these teams are so good at pressuring you into mistakes.
Yeah. What did you make? I mean, listen, Slavin plays for Team USA at the Four Nations. Everybody says, oh, this guy is really good. Like, this guy's been really good since he came into the league. And, like, it was like the other night, oh, Jacob Slavin played really well. He plays well pretty much every night. He's a great defender. You have all the numbers to back that up. And, I mean, his stick work and his ability to play against really high-end players and shut them down is always a factor. Roddy Brind'Amour leaned on him a lot in Game 4. He played him 28 minutes. I would expect more of the same tonight. I'd get him to 30 or 31 minutes if he can handle it.
I am with you. Exactly. You can't have enough of that guy. And you're right. He's been really good for a long time. The first segment I ever did with you guys, I think we're going back to like 2016 or 17. It was talking about Slavin and some of these things that, Sportlogic, our company, tracks of blocking passes and stick checks and just those kind of micro details of a defensive game that he is so good at. And it's good to see him getting more recognition on a bigger stage, obviously, like the Four Nations and being deep in the playoffs. But you're right, like, empty the tank. Don't worry about game 6 or game 7, what's left. Just empty the tank. And I think a positive for Carolina, Orlov was horrendous in game 3.
Yeah.
He was a lot better in game 4. Alexander Nikishin as well, who's been put in such a tough spot to come into the North American game at this time of year against this kind of opponent and play. I thought he was really good in game 4. And that's going to be important for the Canes too. If Slavin, you know what you're getting, and it's going to be good. And you play him a ton. I'm with you for sure. You got to get these guys playing well too, and they saw that in game 4.
Yeah, Nikishin, I think, he's a guy that put up a lot of points in the KHL. I mean, this guy's a player. He is going to be a really important piece for Carolina moving forward. He's got great size. He's a young guy trying to transition here into the National Hockey League at the toughest time against the defending Stanley Cup champions. But, I thought Roddy Brind'Amour did a good job. He got him out there, too. Sometimes, let's face it, you know what you're getting from some other guys. You're maybe not sure what you're going to get from Nikishin in this situation, but he's got a lot of upside to his game. I thought the fact that he showed some confidence in him was important as well, and it'll be interesting to see if Walker or Chatfield can come back tonight. I would assume that would mean Morrow would come out. It'll be interesting to see how he deploys those defensemen, but I would lean on Slavin, I'd lean on Burns, and then certainly I wouldn't be afraid to get Nichushkin in there tonight to play some minutes and play some important minutes in this game as well.
Yeah, agreed. And one guy you brought up earlier as well with Florida in terms of people coming back was Nico Mikkola.
Yeah.
I can't understate the importance of that guy and what he's meant to this team. Yeah. And one of the areas of real strength of his, which you have to do against a team like Carolina that forechecks the way they do, watch him go back on pucks and get them out clean. He's been unbelievable in that area of the game, and it's such an important area against a team like Carolina.
Yeah, he's an important player, and it's good to see. I like all the guys to be healthy. That's why I'm so disappointed for Zach Hyman to be out for Edmonton now, and it looks like he's done for the playoffs. But it's good to get the guys back for Florida. Hopefully Carolina will have a chance to get their full group together tonight. We will see. That's an 8 o'clock start. That one on TNT in the States and Sportsnet up in Canada. Speaking about life up in Canada, this tweet from Chris Johnston and some really tough news. The Winnipeg Jets, their captain, Adam Lowry, will be sidelined 5 to 6 months following hip surgery, according to the team. And Adam Lowry, I mean, he's big, strong, one of the really, really top, third line centers that can play against tough players, really good players. And he's such a great leader for them. And think about it, he was trying to play through that and now has to have the hip surgery, going to be out, miss probably a good portion of the start of the season next year. That's a loss.
Yeah, big time. He was so good. Obviously scoring some pretty big goals for the Jets when they were in the playoffs this year. But man, like, talk about building a captain in a hockey lab underground, right? You kind of want to build one like Adam Lowry. He's on the ice, off the ice, all of it. Such an important player for them. And you just, I mean, these guys are human beings too, right? That's not a fun rehab to mess your summer up. But you hope he doesn't miss too much time at the start of next season. It's a tough division. Winnipeg won it. It's not going to be easy next year. You really kind of need points right from the beginning of the season to be as competitive as you can. And hopefully it doesn't impact him too much for the start of next season, but also gives you a bit of an appreciation for what these guys play through and how kind of severe some of it is, and still play at a high level. Like, he doesn't play a fancy perimeter game. He's in the fight. So, again, just credit to the toughness of these guys.
And the skaters that go through this hip surgery, because goalies have gone through this, but the skaters that go through this, it is not an easy surgery. It's not a given that, he's going to be able to jump right back in at any point. I mean, we saw that with, was it Nicholas Backstrom had something similar to that? I don't know if it's to the extent that Adam has it, but like, he was not able to come back. He played a little bit and then has had to step away. Patrick Kane took him some time to get back from that. So this is it's not an easy surgery. So we wish Adam nothing but the best moving forward, because you're right. He does touch on so many parts of their game, and he's been a really durable player for a long time, an important penalty killer. And boy, that'd be a big loss, the captain of the Jets, if he's going to miss any real time next year.
Yeah. Well, you can point to someone like John Klingberg of a guy that
there's another guy
has had the hips done more than once, and he's looking incredible now. But it also took him quite a while to get back to a point where he's feeling good too. So yeah, it's not like you're, hypothetically, let's say he comes back mid-October and jumps into the lineup. It's like, I'm 100% again, buzzing around. So but you definitely hope it goes as smooth as you can for him, given his importance to that team.
So our best to Adam Lowry. Hope the surgery goes well and the recovery as well, and you get back to playing as soon as possible. But bad news certainly for the Jets. When we come back, going to take it out west, going to talk about the Utah Mammoth. They made some news today, signed some high-end prospects, and talk about what they might do moving forward this summer. That's next on First Shift. Here is a tweet from Frank Sarvalli. Big day for Tusks Up, the Utah Mammoth. Emphasis on big. They've signed 2023 first-rounders Dmitry Simashev, who's 6'5", he's a left-shot D, and Daniel But, 6'6", right wing, to entry-level deals. Both appear to be NHL-ready after helping Lokomotiv to their first Gagarin Cup win in the KHL, and these players were drafted 6th and 12th overall in 2023. Simashev went 6, Boot went 12, but, more good news for the Mammoth. They already have a young team there. They had 2 pieces that, these guys, who knows? Maybe they'll be part of their team moving forward. I reached out to our buddy Craig Button, who does the great work with draft eligibles and prospects, and, he knows these guys really well. And he said, hey, Boot's a lanky guy. He can score goals. He's got a good shot. They said Simashev is just a really elite skater, competitor. He doesn't see him as a number one type defenseman, but sees him certainly as a top 3 guy. And so 2 good young players adding to an already talented young mix with the Mammoth.
Yeah, no doubt. Mammoth fans should be excited about this because we're looking at some young players they have there already, guys like Kouleas and Gunther and Doan and Barrett Hayton. There's another wave coming. And Simashev and Boot are part of that. I think there's going to be a height requirement to play defense on this team. You have to be 6'5" at least. The Utah Mammoth have a plan in mind for how they want to look, and they've certainly drafted that way. And it's hard to argue, right? Like you can't find skilled big guys like that very easily. They identified a couple they think are going to be players for them. They signed them, so good on them. Maverick Lamoureux, Cole Baudouin's a recent pick, who's a really tough type of kind of player to play against, someone you'd project to be pretty good in terms of playoff hockey, those kind of moments. The future is so bright. I think Bill's done a really good job from the time that he got there in Arizona of stocking the shelves in a particular way where if this all works out, and we'll see, it's going to be a team that should be very competitive for a long time and very hard to play against.
Yeah, they're kind of moving up the ladder, inching up the ladder a little bit. Mm-hmm. They got Tiga Ginla too, who they drafted last year, was their first round pick, and he dealt with injury this year, but he's another really Jerome McGinley's son. He's another really talented young player. So I agree with you. I think the general manager, Bill Armstrong, going back to his time in Arizona and now in Utah, where he's got the resources there with the ownership team there, the ownership group of Ryan and Ashley Smith have done a great job of really, giving him the resources necessary that he didn't have in Arizona to really build a team now and to try to complete a rebuild. This team moved up a little bit this year. They were right around the playoffs towards the end of the year. They played some meaningful games. They're looking for more next year. And the interesting thing, Mike, is that they've got a lot of cap space. And I think they're looking to make a big play in the summer. I hear they're going to be one of the big players for Mitch Marner if he becomes available. They'll be a big player for Sam Bennett if he becomes available. And when I'm talking big player, I'm talking about spending a lot of money on long-term deals to acquire those guys to help facilitate the rebuild with some of those young players there. You saw the number there. They got about $21.5 million cap space according to Puckpedia there. And, this is a list of potential unrestricted free agents could hit the market on July 1st. But I'd really circle Marner and Bennett as the 2 guys that they've got their eye on.
Look, that'd be really interesting. I think to get Mitch Marner to Utah, you're probably going to have to open the bag and go big, right? And maybe they will. He's a heck of a player. We all know what Mitch Marner is. Sam Bennett, I don't know how I'd feel about that if I was Utah, because what are you going to have to pay Sam Bennett? What kind of deal, 7 years, are you going to have to give him to get him to say, bye, Florida, I'm leaving now to go to Utah? A lot, 10 plus probably, right? And for a team that's like just getting there, you need Sam Bennett in the conference final and the cup final.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's in his late 20s, like, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
That's the thing, right, Mike, is that we'll get to, they always call it the silly season, right, which is, July 1st, and we saw that board of guys who'll be available. Teams are competing to get these players, and teams, the Utah Hockey Club, it's their second year in Utah. The franchise hasn't been in the playoffs in a good while there. I mean, there's a lot of teams in that boat, and what inevitably happens is, to your point, they'll overpay, and sometimes you end up with bad contracts, because I completely agree with you. Sam Bennett is a really important player for a team in the playoffs, for the playoff challenge. But for teams that haven't even gotten there, they figure someone like that can really help their team as well. It'll be an interesting time for Sam because he's such a great fit in Florida. But this is his time to really make money if he wants to. And so I'm sure if he gets to market, and remember, Reinhart signed with Florida very late in the process last year. If he gets to market, it'll be very fascinating to watch what kind of offers he gets and what he decides to do, because this is his real crack at the big money.
Yep, well, for sure. And we've talked about this already. Like, what if Florida says, we'll give you 8 times 8, right? That's $64 million. In a tax-free state.
Pretty good.
Another team says, we'll give you 11 over 7.
Yeah.
Well, that's $77 million. You're paying some different taxes, whatever. Yeah, that's a decision for him to make for sure. And I don't think it makes sense for Utah to bring in a player like that at this point of their trajectory.
Yeah, I agree.
If I'm Toronto, here's all the money, Sam. Come beat that team that we can't beat. Absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting because the cap is going up. There's more room for teams to operate. That'll be good for some, but in the long run, it'll end up probably being bad for others, whether they know it or not at the time, but we will see. But a big day for the Mammoth. I'm warming up to that name. How do you like it?
I love it. I love it. I've always loved the color scheme there, like the light blue and everything.
Yep, I agree.
Especially considering some of the other names being bandied about. Yeah. I think Mammoth is an excellent choice. I still kind of like Utah Hockey Club. If they decided to stay there, I would have been cool with that too.
I was okay with it, and I wasn't crazy about Mammoth, but the more I say it, I get to say it now.
You're liking it now,
Mammoth! I love it. All right.
You can really sink your teeth into it.
Speaking of Mammoth, we got a Mammoth guest coming up. Steve Kouleas joins us to talk about comebacks. Can any of these teams come back in the conference final? Cooley next on First Shift. Mammoth! Here's a tweet from NHL PR. Pretty much says it all. Game 5 tonight. Carolina Hurricanes hosting the Florida Panthers. Panthers win it. They punch their ticket to a third straight Stanley Cup final. And with that, we bring in the master of the discussion room, our buddy from NHL Network Radio, Steve Kouleas. And Cooley, we've got 2 series here that look like they're coming to an end soon. Florida and Edmonton maybe advancing for a rematch in the Cup final. But let's look at the reality of where they are now, these teams, the Dallas and Carolina. They're both down 3-1. There's not a lot of comebacks in these situations in 3-1, correct?
Yeah, I had to go by memory, and then I am the human Google, and I said to myself, 2000, Devils and Flyers, the infamous Lindros, the Nashville situation with the punctured lung, returned in Game 6, and he scored, and it was a 3-1 Flyer lead. And then it's 3-2, 3-3 in that game. And then remember this.
Ow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, I don't even think this is a clean check in today's game with everything that we've seen. Wow. Eric was off for so long. His head's down. And the Devils, who are already up 1-0, end up not winning just the game, coming back and winning the series. They win the Stanley Cup. Could that happen with the Canes or the Stars this year? Maybe Dallas, but you can see as a moment like that can change a game, or in that case, maybe a series. Eric could have come back and won Game 7 by himself. Obviously, that was not the case 25 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
That's great context. Not the same exactly, but let's not forget last year in the Stanley Cup final, a team came back from 3-0 to make it Game 7.
Yeah.
So, you never know what'll happen. Speaking of teams that need to come back, though, cool, let's talk about the Dallas Stars for a second, because Edmonton, I think their depth has been such a great story this season, right? Not just Connor and Leon, but everybody that's contributing. What's going on with the Dallas Stars? Because we saw Mikko Rantanen walking on water in earlier series, and it's not just him, though. Like, what's going on with not only the depth, but some other key guys as well?
Yeah, and we thought and talked last week that this had to change in this series. But it shows me that the Oilers, as good as they were last year, their 12 forwards this year, even with guys in and out and banged up, are better. And they've been able to be the better team 5-on-5. Dallas really has played 3 good periods in the series. Game 1, obviously in the third when they scored the power play goals. In game number 2, in the second period. And we could argue what they did last game in the first, but didn't get enough to even tie the period. And there's a lot of zeros on the board there. Robertson is stepping up finally, but Mikko Rantanen, nothing. 1 goal on the power play for Matt Duchene. I mean, Rantanen we thought he was going to win the Conn Smythe. And you can see as the Oilers series has gone along, they've smothered him, they've checked him, they've almost hooked and holded him. Sorry, we'll let that one go. And then Skinner's been there when there's been a tight situation. But look at this. I mean, this is not 1 or 2 guys. And Jamie Benn, as much as we love him, he'll be 36 in July. I mean, we're seeing a player it feels like almost at the end of the rope and what he's not been able to do. And that's hurt Wyatt Johnston. And there's so many negatives right here that it is the Masters and a lot of green jackets. And that's not good in hockey in May. It's good in Augusta in April, but not for the too many players are underachieving on the Stars, EJ.
You know, Cooley, I would say this with the Dallas Stars. I don't even think they're here if it's not for Ottinger and Rantanen, really. I mean, because when you look at it, I don't think, and I had our research guys look into this, and they could not come up with anybody, but to go into a conference final with a player, Wyatt Johnston, who's a really good player and has played well in the playoffs before, but it's just not happened for him this year. He's now a -18. He came into the series, whatever he was, -14, -15. I mean, you just don't get to a conference final with players like that. And Matt Duchene, by the way, not too far behind. Like, you don't get to the conference final with key players having that kind of minus number. Now, again, plus minus, not the end of the world. We know that, there's a lot of stats. We got Mike right there. He can tell us there's a lot of different stats you can look at. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, Mike, when it's so big,
netters, right?
Yeah, but when it's so big,
but it's still -12 or 13.
That's what I mean. Like, I've never heard in a conference final of looking at one of those four teams, they have a key player that's that big a minus. So, Cooley, to your point about the Stars players, struggling, I mean, if it wasn't for Ottinger early in a couple of rounds, and if it wasn't for Rantanen with that run he went on, I mean, this team is just not, and there's a look here, lowest plus minus in the playoffs. I mean, those teams usually don't advance this far. Gostisbehere to me a -9. I guess he's in that category as well. But if it wasn't for those two players, Cooley, I just don't think the Dallas Stars are here because they haven't gotten enough from the other pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, your power play better be so good. It better be in the 70 percentile. Yeah. And that's impossible. The league average is 21%, and power plays have never been better since we invented the 1-3-1, and we've done this for the last 10 or 15 years. And we're talking about your second and third line center.
Yeah.
It's not like your fourth line guy's struggling, but the other top 9 are getting the job done. But those are atrocious. And look, every stat, an assist is an analytic. A plus minus is an analytic. Yeah. If I'm the second line center on team EJ and I'm -17 and EJ and Mike Kelly and the rest of the team are +20, I'm the problem. Yeah. I'm the problem. Same defense, same goalie. I'm the problem. Cooley isn't in Cool's cave. He's in the ECHL cave. That's just and this has gone on, and they're losing matchups, man. Like, it is, you're watching this going, this is the Dallas Stars? Oh, my goodness. And that's why we play the games. And that's why you have to execute when it matters. And these are great players. Yeah. Great players. Yep. Mike not getting it done.
Yeah, Cooley, it's your fault. It's your fault. We're getting you off this line. We're getting you out of here. Hey, what about a rematch, Cooley? We don't see that many rematches in Stanley Cup final history. I think the last one was the Penguins and the Red Wings in 08 and 09. They split those two. I think this has a chance to be a really compelling Stanley Cup final. I'm disappointed to see Zach Hyman out of the mix because I think the Oilers have that growl right now of having lost last year. What do you make of a Stanley Cup final rematch this year with these two?
Well, it makes us think the way we thought about Eric Lindros, sorry, Eric, we love you, and Scott Stevens and what happened 25 years ago, and a 3-1 conference final comeback, and the Devils went on to win the Cup. Then you start thinking, well, you mentioned 08, 09. Wings win in 08, Penguins, Crosby wins in 09. Well, if you go back and look at Oilers-Islanders 83, yep. Islanders win, Gretzky finally wins, Bob Cole, there's a new kid on the block, ladies and gentlemen, and they are the Edmonton Oilers. And that allowed the Oilers to win 5 cups in 7 years. And now McDavid loses to Florida last year. We might get a rematch and get what we had in 83, 84, what we saw in 08, 09, and what we might see again. Listen, we're right back here again. You don't get back by accident in Florida's case 3 times. Whoa, Camel, Yosemite Sam, we're not there yet. And if they were to meet, and I've been hanging on to this for a while. If you go back to Game 7, if the Oilers meet the Panthers in Game 1 of the 2025 final, 13 players who dressed in Game 7. Think about this.
Yeah.
13 players who dressed in Game 7 will not be in the game. Now, the only other didn't play who dressed was the backup goalie behind Bobrovsky. Spencer Knight is gone. Everyone else, 6 on one side, 7 on the other. That is mind-blowing that the best 2 teams in the league could meet again, and 13 guys of 40 who dressed are not back for game 1. I'm telling you, that is crazy stuff. Now, we're not there yet, but EJ, I was saving this for you because this is like Mike Kelly stuff, and I don't have his research department. This was just me in the basement, and there you go, Mike.
That's unreal. And I love it, Cool. That's a great point you bring up because, like, I think these 2 teams are better than they were last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means we're going to get a better series because we got a 3-0, 3-3 game 7, 1-goal game 7. That's as good as it gets. But I don't know what you think. I think these 2 teams are actually better than they were a year ago.
Yeah.
I do. And EJ, the flight pattern will change.
That's
the
right.
Oilers don't have
exactly.
It'll change. And I wonder if the flight pattern has anything to do with this year, the way some people in Edmonton believe it did last year. Yeah. So, not there
Still
yet.
as long of a flight.
Sitting first class like EJ.
That's right. There you go. That's right. That's right. Listen, you don't want me flying the plane. Just let me sit in my little corner there, and I'm all good. All right, what do you got prediction-wise for the game tonight? Because, by the way, I'm already in the final, so I don't know what you think, but I'm not even going to give this phony, like, I don't know. This is the final. These teams are winning. But go ahead.
They are. So Sam Reinhart's back. Sam Reinhart scores a power play goal for Florida.
Okay. All right, I like that one.
Book him.
All right, there you go. All right, Cooley. We'll see you somewhere along the road here, maybe in Edmonton, maybe in Florida.
See you at the JW Marriott at the company's expense.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. All right, Cooley. We'll see you soon. Coming up, little game of first word with Mike Kelly. There's a few words we could use for how things have gone for the Stars so far in the conference final. That's next on First Shift. It's time for America's favorite game, and also Canada's. First word. JD, take it away.
North America's favorite game.
Correct.
All righty, boys. You've both played this one before. You know how it rolls. We got 3 topics here. Let's begin with last night. Evan Bouchard took a little liberty on Rope Hintz. So, fellas, your first word on Evan Bouchard slashing Rope Hintz on that injured foot. EJ, you go first.
Hard. It's hard to win, and you got to be willing to do hard things. Where's the pushback? Where's the pushback, Rope? Where's the pushback, Dallas Stars? That's a nasty play. That's hard hockey.
My first word when I saw that is greasy. Yeah, that is greasy, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible to Evan Bouchard. It's exactly what you want to be doing at this time of year. You take advantage where you can take advantage in a game. Win the game. That's what you're trying to do. So, greasy move. Yeah. Respect it. Good on him.
Hey, when somebody pushes you, you got to push back. Not enough pushback for the Dallas Stars. Go ahead, JD.
All right, Kel, speaking about greasy, this guy, you don't get the nickname the Worm by always staying right inside the rule book.
Yeah.
We saw this note last night. Corey Perry, he has played more playoff games than any franchise. He's an individual. He's played more playoff games since 2000 than any franchise. Kel's first word on Corey Perry with this board, like more playoff games than any franchise.
Hilarious. That's the first thing, honestly, that popped into my head. It's like, come on, this guy, it's unbelievable. He's been not a bit player either. Like, he's been a real part of these teams getting to deep runs and into cup finals. And he was there with Dallas. He was there with Tampa. He was there with Montreal and Edmonton. Looks like he's going back with Edmonton. But there's a reason why teams go and get him, and there's a reason why teams win playoff series with Corey Perry. So I think it's hilarious at this point of his career. I mean, this is a guy who was a league MVP, high goal scorer, elite offensive player. To become what he's become, which is so valuable, good on him. It's great.
Ageless. That's all I can say. I mean, he just keeps playing, and he keeps having just as much your point. Like, he's not the player he was with Anaheim when he had the Rocket Richard Trophy and he won the Hart Trophy. I mean, he's not that guy anymore. but he continues to be an important player and a guy that helps you in the playoffs. Loved he got to that spot last night, put his stick right down on the ice. Great play by Nugent Hopkins. But he goes to those areas all the time. In that case, the Dallas Stars just let him stand there on the power play. But he gets into those areas. He can change the game in a lot of different ways, even at this late stage. So, ageless.
Yeah.
All righty, boys, one last one here. Carolina Hurricanes backs against the wall at home tonight in Game 5. EJ, first word. What are Rod Brindamore's first words to the Canes tonight? What's the message?
Mammoth! Oh, no, that's another that's another segment. I'm so sorry. Compete! They got to compete. You got to compete in all areas of the ice. They competed really hard. They out-competed the Florida Panthers in Game 4. They've got to do it again tonight.
Yeah, mine's similar, JD. It's repeat. Repeat that performance where we manage the puck well and we skate and we make them make mistakes. Repeat what we did. It's going to be harder tonight because of who Florida has back in the lineup, because Florida really wants to squash this series at this point. But repeat what we did.
All right. JD, you got something else for us before we go? I think you got a board from Mark Adelberg.
So I'm going to have you guys do a quick guess here. Final minute of the program. Okay. This was a great board that our ace researcher, Mark Adelberg, cooked up in the A block. All right. But so Zach Hyman, we started the show with the news that he's out. Final 40 seconds of the show. Guys, 10 or more points and 100 hits in a playoff year. Only 5 guys have done it. Hyman's one of them. Can you name the other 4? 30 seconds.
Rick Tocchet?
Negative.
Cam Neely. Recent.
Recent, yeah. 2013 and on.
23rd. Dustin Brown?
Ding, ding, ding. Let's give him the board.
Give us the board. At least I got one of them.
Sam Bennett.
We got my man Milan Lucic. Tom Wilson.
Oh, Luch.
Well, listen, that board makes sense right there. That board makes a lot of sense.
It's funny how they're all since 2013. I guess people didn't hit that much before.
We're out of time, Mike. See you tomorrow. NHL Now is next. Mammoth!